Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 35, Matt's first solo episode on YouTube. Productivity, choosing clients, automation, and more. Before we dig into this episode, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this podcast or our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Well, give us a thumbs up after you've watched it. I mean, you might want to wait. I truly appreciate your support. Let's dive in. Well, here I am. I wasn't sure after moving to YouTube, not moving to YouTube, but adding YouTube in, that I didn't know what solo episodes would look like. Like, how am I going to do that? I like doing the guest episodes, got split screen and it's exciting, but am I going to be able to do a solo just looking at myself and doing this thing? And I think the answer is yes, because we're doing it right now, aren't we? And I actually reconfigured my office a little bit. One of the things I'm pretty new at doing video. You'll note that, probably. Up until, the first 30 or so episodes of the Builders Podcast, I just did audio. And not because I didn't want to or, I was concerned about doing video so much. I just tried to keep things simple. I wasn't sure where I'd go with the podcast, if I would stick with it or not. And then I was talked into by one of my guests to do video because why not? And it gives me more exposure and more value, more things I can do with video, than just audio. So that's why I thought I would try it. So the last 3 episodes has been with guests, but now with the solo, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Let's try it. Let's try it. Maybe I'll go to audio next week. But I did reconfigure things. I usually just sit at my desk. I got a desk in a corner, like one of those corner desks. I got 2 corner desks actually. And usually my laptop, I do everything on my laptop in terms of recording, and it just sits there and you can kind of see my window and my PC. I have a PC on the other side of the room here. I got my Mac over here where I do most of my business, all my business. My PC is more for fun. But that's usually what you see in my background. But sometimes I don't know if that's distracting or not distracting, or if it's something, if it really matters. But I thought, well, if I actually, and the problem is even if I move my Mac over, I'm still kind of far from this wall, and then you would see my doors and there's other distractions. So I thought, well, maybe if I move it forward and I get closer to the wall, you'll just see the wall. And there will be no distractions at all. Maybe I'd put like a really nice bookcase back here eventually, like a lot of YouTubers do. But we're going to try this. And I don't even need to worry about a green screen. I'll just have this nice yellowish background and life is good. So that's what I'm doing. So we're going to try this. I was trying, I'm going to try the mic. I actually have a mic. I have a standing mic on my desk over there, but I thought I'd try this clip-on mic, see if that improves the sound. One of the things I'm working through, so I the last 3 episodes the first ones I posted on YouTube, I actually switched over from just doing Zoom, because I was just doing audio anyway, and the audio was good enough, but I decided to switch over to Riverside.fm, and to do my podcasting and do these recordings like I'm doing now. But really, the first 3, I had all kinds of audio issues. I had to clean up so much audio, and I'm still kind of troubleshooting that, but I think maybe part of it is because I don't use headphones and there's feedback. I don't know what that all is, but that's something I got to work with, figure out. But this, I actually did some tests with this, and it seemed to be pretty clear and good, but there's not going to be feedback if you're solo, because no one else is talking, right? But I can do really cool things, though, with Riverside. I can add in laugh tracks. I won't do that too often. I'll save you. But yeah, so that's what's going on. And so we're going to try a solo today. I'm just going to actually just kind of recap, again, the last 3 weeks. We had some great guests. We had our last guest was Mohammed, who's a friend that I actually met him in high school. And when he was going back to my hometown, he was in my hometown. He was staying with my family instead of going back to his country. But you can go back to the episode and learn all about that stuff. But Mohammed, and we had Volva was one of the first ones I did on Riverside. Was the first one I did on Riverside. He's the guy that talked me into doing video. I apologize. or you can talk to him. It's his fault. But Volva's a great guy. Wilson, I've been friends with him for years. I've known Wilson for years. Have known Volva for a number of years, Mohammed for a number of years. You see a pattern? I'm bringing on all my friends. So, but that's cool. And we got more guests lining up. Just talked to somebody yesterday about coming on, so we'll have more guests. But, I still think I want this podcast to be maybe mostly guests, but some solos in between where I can just talk, and bore the heck out of you. Let's hope not. But so it's because it's one of those things that for me, podcasting and now YouTube, it's got to be something that it's not a side gig so much. It's something that I want to do. I want to do podcasting, but it can't overtake my life. I was just talking to my friend yesterday about that, where it's like, I can see for sure YouTube and for sure podcasting can become your business. It's very easy. It wants to be a business. It feels like there's a lot of things you can do with podcasting. It could be my full-time business, seeking out people to talk to, expanding the content, doing more of it. There's so much you could do. But for me, see, I run an agency, a web design agency, and I am very busy. I've been doing that for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in January, where it's official. And in that time frame, first couple of years kind of slow, but this year we've just exploded. And I actually have 4 full-time people doing stuff for me every day, and others. And so I got a team, and we have a continuous stream of projects coming in. I'm almost on an hourly basis. I have clients sending me stuff, and so I'm very, very busy. But I still want to do podcasts, and I started doing podcasts because I want to do content. And I've been doing some blogging too on the content. I'm on social media posting stuff, but content's an important part of that's kind of my marketing for my business. So podcasting has been doing great. It actually has a lot of benefits, including, just building relationships with other business people, business to business, agencies, and talking business. I enjoy talking business too. So it's the perfect podcast for me because I can talk about business all day long and marketing and websites and all that stuff. I'm a nerd that way. But it's the perfect avenue for me. But again, I'm like I actually have a business. And I'm not at a point in my business where I can, don't have to work. I'm not just the owner and everyone's doing the work for me. I'm still very much in the work. In fact, it's been an interesting arc. The first 2 years, this time last year, I was pretty much a solopreneur, working on myself, by myself. I was probably working on myself too. And I would outsource stuff. The first 2 years I would outsource, but just like one-off stuff. If I got a project and I needed help on, I would reach out to one of my developer friends and they would help me out. But last December I hired my first employee, and then obviously several more after that. I got a virtual assistant to help me with customer support and the marketing and other stuff like that. So we're very busy. But it's been an interesting arc, and I threw in podcasting there, like I said, and I didn't know where it would go, but at this point, I mean, who knows, like in 20 years, maybe I retired from being a web design agency owner and I'm just doing podcasting. It could still be the builders, except we're building like, I don't know, log cabins or something. I don't know. So I'm gonna reference my phone periodically. So this is how I'm gonna do this. So most of what I'm doing here, if you can't tell, is unscripted. So my goal with the builders has always been to be relaxed. All my guests, when I have a guest on, I'm like, I just want it to be like two friends talking about business. It's something I would do anyway with friends. We just are hitting record, right? So you're being recorded, so you might not say all the things you would normally say, but yeah, we just kind of keep it chill. And I might have a short bullet list. Even all the solo podcasts I've done up until now, I always have maybe a bullet list of maybe 10 things. And sometimes I just completely lose track and just talk about whatever. But I try to, if I do get lost a little bit, I want some structure to this. But I can talk and talk and talk like I'm doing now. So we talked about the Riverside test. See, that's my first bullet. And it really was a test. I mean, you got to test things. And I also tested the day I was doing podcasts. So we started, the first 30 episodes were all on Mondays. They're all on Mondays. I would release them Monday morning or by noon. And they actually were doing pretty good. But then, I want to improve. I want more of an audience. I want to grow my audience. And being an analytics guy I got to test things and all that stuff. So, and you always read, well, you do your reading, right? Like you go to Google and you say, what are the best times of the week to publish your podcasts and all that? And a lot of them say there's a variety of them, but Wednesdays, Thursdays, really good. Maybe Fridays. No one was ever mentioning Mondays, and that's where I was, right? So I'm like, you know what? Maybe if we move it to Wednesday, it'll do better. Well, I can tell after a month, 4 episodes, that it's not doing better. When I was expecting an increase, and I got a decrease by about half. So we're going back to Mondays, and that's when this will probably be posting. So that was the Riverside test, besides the fact I was testing the quality and how it would work. I actually really like the Riverside setup. It's got some really cool features, not just the laugh tracks, but really cool features. It's really easy. All my guests need is a Chrome browser. They don't need to even install Zoom if they don't want to. That's part of the reason we did the episode, why it was a good time to start with testing Riverside with Vova, was because he's actually in Israel, and he has trouble with Zoom for some reason. So he wasn't going to be able to do the podcast unless I used something else. And I suppose we could have done Google Meet or something. But I'm like, well, I wanted to test this, so let's do it. And we did. But so far, so good. I don't think I'm going back to Zoom. So we talked a little bit about the past 3 guests. I wasn't even looking at my bullets starting out. I don't know how long I've been talking. The move to YouTube. So yeah, YouTube's been an interesting thing too. So obviously Vova was his whole thought process was, well, you could put it up on YouTube, for starters, and then we can do other things, repurpose the content stuff. And I've tried YouTube in the past. I've done a little bit here and there, but I never got any traction. I think I had 1 subscriber before this. I have 5 right now on YouTube. I'm very excited about that. That's 5 times more than the last time I tried doing stuff on YouTube. Amazing. I'm a winner. So I have been kind of, though, avoiding YouTube for quite a while, again, because I'm busy. And when you're a busy person, you've got a business, you need to focus. It's hard to do. There's a lot of distractions, and everyone's telling you, go do this, go do that. You should be doing this. I'm doing this. You should be doing it. And even Volvo is like, you should be doing video, YouTube. And I'm like, okay, I've been doing audio for enough. this is just a little bit more, but I still am going to find a way to keep it simple, right? I'm still going to find a way to keep it simple. So, just kind of increment it a little bit. And I have help, so I don't have to do everything myself. Like my VA can help with some stuff and whatever, but still, I want to be very cautious that I don't add something that's going to, just all of a sudden take, 20 hours a week to do stuff. But it's working out good, and I'm really happy actually to be at YouTube. I'm a big consumer of YouTube. I have been for many, many years, probably since the beginning. I don't know about the beginning days, but right now, like every night, you can ask my wife someday if you ever talk to her. But like one of the things I do, like late at night before bed, probably the last hour at least of the evening, I'm on YouTube. And especially now, shorts on YouTube, man, I'm telling you, I'm addicted to shorts. So, and it's like, you can just scroll through those and it's just ridiculous. And they're so perfect because if you only have like an extra minute and then 20 minutes later. But no, I literally do. I subscribe to a lot of channels. I actually have a separate account, like a private account that I use for all that. So all my subscriptions are on there. You'd never find me. It's under a different name. But yeah, that's what, so I love YouTube, and I'm really, really excited to be here and hopefully build a decent audience if people can put up with me. But yeah, so what else do I want to talk about? I actually want to talk a little bit about business. So, I've referenced a few times that I'm very busy, and I am. And you have to, again, be very delicate with the decisions you make, that you don't take on something that is overwhelming. And because everything you do, especially once you get to that busy place where every hour of your day there's things you could do, when you get to that place, anything you put in there can disrupt and move those other things around, or there's ripple effects even later into the week. You should have been working on something and it's due on Thursday or Friday and your client's like, what? You haven't started it? Side note, as I was looking at myself doing this, I watched a video where I guess today, now when they say, pretend you're on the phone, the kids do this. I still do this. I'm an old guy. Anyway, but yeah, but doing that, being that busy is a crazy thing. But one of the things that I've also, I talk a lot about productivity. If you ever watch my content or read my content, I talk a lot about productivity, whether it's automation, systems, processes, all that really nerdy, crazy stuff I like to talk about. That's just my thing. And automation is one of those things, though. I'm always looking at things that I'm doing in my business. It's like, can I automate that? Can I give that to somebody else to do? Or can I find a tool that's going to automate that for me? And my latest thing is this integration between automate.io. There's competitors out there, but it's basically an automation tool that integrates with all kinds of different third-party tools and allows you to, have everything work together and notify things and whatever. But automate.io and then monday.com. Actually, one of my guests, Stephen Downey. Stephen. He's got like 3 names, but I'm just going to call him Stephen. But he actually said he was using monday.com. Now I can't move over monday.com completely just because I'm already kind of baked into what I do. I use Atlassian, I use those tools, I use very specific things. But what I could do with monday.com is use it as a central place to see everything. And that's really challenging with an agency as you grow, because I have clients that are using Basecamp. I have clients that are using Asana. I have clients that just love their email. I have clients that have me in their email. Like I have domain emails with other clients. So I have all these different places to keep track of. We're in Trello. So, but what I've been able to do with Monday is, and I'm still kind of refining this, but what I'm able to do is use automation. Either Monday.com has automation, but then Automate.io also can create some automation. So when I get a specific email, it can add it to a certain list in there or whatever. And then I can create dashboards where I can see if there's any new things going on from where. I can use that kind of a central repository. I might still visit those other places, but at least once or a couple times a day, I can go in there and did I miss anything? Because that's really important to not miss things and make sure that, and with my team, I do a lot of assigning projects. So I got to look at the requirements, who's going to do that for me, assign that. I got to make sure all that stuff's captured. It's crazy. It is crazy stuff. If you ever think about building an agency or you want to do a large business of any kind, know what you're getting into. No, it's all good. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but it's not for everyone. Some people, it would be just better to just continue being a freelancer, and there's nothing wrong with that, or work for somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. There's something for everybody. For some reason, my mind likes to be tortured. But one of the other things that I want to talk a little bit about too, and this is kind of a fresh thing, in the course of the last couple of years, one of the things, and there's a difference between when you first start a business and when you're kind of mature a little bit and you're in your third year, like I am, is that in the beginning, you're going to take more crap from people. You're going to take jobs that maybe aren't that great, but you need to make some money, right? And you will put up with a lot more in the beginning, or you should, if you want to make money, and that's true. And you might take, in my case, I might take smaller clients in the beginning, or I might, which I did, and like I said, put up with more. But as time goes on, and you get to a point where you're in a good place with your revenue, and you got good cash flow, you got good clients, you can start saying no to things. Or you can fire clients. I say fire clients, but it's always, it's usually this understood situation. I had somebody a few months back where we parted ways, and it was inevitable because it's not so much I outgrew her, but she did not have the budget anymore. And so there wasn't much I could do for her. We're a little more higher end, and I think she needed somebody that was, lower cost and could do more and could dedicate their time to her and stuff. So, we had a good year-long relationship, but eventually she found somebody else that could, do what she needed to be done for her budget. So those are the type of things that can happen too, where you're going to make a decision. And actually, in that decision, I'm kind of look back at that. I should have probably made that decision for her a lot earlier, because I knew that I couldn't take care of her. At some point, she told me she could only afford X amount, and I'm like, I can't do a whole lot. So she wanted me to do all this stuff. I'm like, I can't. And I should have had a conversation earlier. We learn our lessons. I've also severed ties with people that we just didn't, something wasn't gelling. And that just happened again recently, very recently. It's very fresh. And we were testing each other. This was actually very new. And when I first started a relationship with another agency or another person or not client, in the first few weeks, first project, 2 projects, you're really testing each other out. Is this going to be a good fit? Can we get along? And there was something with him that there was a lot of red flags, and I just made the decision actually this past weekend on Saturday. And I just was like, I can't. So I sent an email to him. I said, you know what? I said, there's some issues here. I'm just not going to be able to work with you. This will be our last project. We're finishing up the project we're working. I'm not a professional, I suppose there's a scenario where I say bye-bye. They're being a real pain, but I wanted to finish it up and end our relationship on a positive note. But it's all business, it's not personal, right? In that situation, there was something that my instincts, something was off, and there was a number of things. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. Just I think it's really important to learn how to say no to things. You have to determine the type of people that you can work with. It's just like your team. Who do you want to hire? What kind of culture do you want to maintain? In this case, I couldn't. One of the factors is I could not, because I'm so busy and I have all these other clients. I have large clients. I can't have a single client take my mental bandwidth from me, and like I was getting to this point where I was concerned about him, is he upset? What is he upset about or whatever, like what is going on? And now I'm thinking about that. I'm not doing other stuff, and it takes, you have to, you want to surround yourself if possible by positive people you can work with that have, that you mesh with. And if it's not there, it's okay to say no, and the other person should be okay with that too. So yeah, so that's the thing. That's one of the things with business. One of the last couple of things I wanted to talk about is things related to our products and our services. Some of you will know that we own Hexeter.com. Hexeter is a WordPress theme marketplace. It's got a long history. I won't get into it all today, but it's a business that I acquired a few years back. I worked for a company that actually initially launched it, and then when I started my agency, I acquired it. They asked me if I wanted it, and I took it. But unless something crazy happens today, it looks like I'm going to be shutting her down. So I'll make an edit to this if that didn't happen. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to be shutting it down. I'm actually talking to a couple other developers. We're talking about some developer friends of mine that we could actually partner together with to see if there's anything else we could do with Hexeter. Any other fresh ideas? But there's a number of reasons that I decided it was time. We first started building these themes back in 2014. A lot's changed in that time. They are actually quite out of date, and it would need a lot of work to bring up to kind of catch up to where WordPress is going with Gutenberg and all that stuff. They're still, the designs are great. They still can be used. We'll probably use them with clients as a base to customize and provide themes that way. We're still going to keep those themes. We still have a customer base that I'm sure will be using them for quite a while. I don't know how long we'll actually support them, but it's just time. And also, I'm looking at it from my whole business perspective. Unified Web Design, my agency, is doing like way better than I thought it would this year. I had goals for my business this year. My goals were like here and we're like up here. So we're doing very, very well. And I want to continue focusing on that. I don't want to lose control of that. Hexeter was doing okay. Like I said, we had a good user base. We sold thousands of themes over the years, but the revenue wasn't there. And it just didn't make sense, right? In context of what else I'm doing. I also am launching a new product hopefully early next year, Unified Toolkit. And Unified Toolkit is actually targeted towards agencies, freelancers, and businesses. But it blends in with my agency in a very specific way. So it complements very much what we're doing. So I couldn't justify putting more resources on Hexeter, but I can justify putting them on Unified Toolkit, and I wanted to do that. I think it's a really interesting idea and product. I think it's going to bring a lot of value, so I'm doing that. So that's what's going on. Hexeter, closing down Hexeter is a tough one because I have a lot invested in it. I was the guy that built the original framework that everything's built on, and worked with Wilson and Jason Fladlin at Rapid Crush to develop all that and build. We built almost 100 themes in those years, but things happen. It's still business, so you have to kind of separate your emotions and your feelings about something when you're in business, and make the right decisions for your business. And I'm not making decisions just for myself anymore. I'm making decisions for my employees and my future employees, hopefully, right? As my business grows, I'm going to employ more people, and now I got to start thinking about it, not just my feelings anymore. I got to think about my business and make sure that we can continue to grow and do great things. We want to help the world with their websites and maintaining them, and helping other agencies and all the stuff we want to do. So we just need to focus. So that's what's happened with Hexer. It's actually we're doing it in such a way we're going to just shut it down. We may still actually have a landing page where people can sign up to just continue to get WordPress related information. We still have a list. I'm going to still continue. I got to take a drink, hang on. In dry. We're going to still continue to send out to that list and talk to them, because there's people there that are interested in what we're doing. So, but then of course, and we can talk to them about Unified Toolkit, and maybe eventually a bunch of them will jump on that bandwagon. But so that's where we're at. I guess that's all I want to talk about today. So this is exciting. I did my first video podcast. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this podcast or provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, Unified Web Design. That's my agency. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.